reason I wanted to do this, I'll give you a little background on this trope trainer, is a number of years ago, probably 15 years ago at this point, the original trope trainer came out, and it's this amazing program. It started as just a disc, and then it became a download, and there are all these updates. Oh, gotcha. Thank you, Beth. And the developer, my understanding anyway, is that he developed this at his kitchen table, essentially. He worked with some other people. Neil Schwartz is one of those, but he worked with some other people. But essentially, it was this like kitchen table computer program. And then he passed away a few years ago and didn't leave any of the information to anybody. So that was a little scary. And so several of us who purchased the program, Marianne has it, right? Who purchased the program have been, I don't know about you, but there are several of us that have one dedicated computer, and the only thing we use it for is the original trope trainer. We don't update it. We don't turn it off. We like nothing. Don't turn it. Well, it turns itself off, but yes, I have to. No. So I think John Bograd is the other one that has one, computer that's sort of limping along. And so I realized like I was getting so stressed every time I went to start with a new student, like, is trope trainer going to work or isn't it? So there has been a new trope trainer established. It's through the Cantor's Assembly, and they've been working on it for maybe 2 years, or it's been available for maybe 2 years. It's a subscription service. So you have to pay every month or every year or whatever. And we have, the tutors have access to it here at the synagogue, or at home. But to me, it just hasn't measured up to the original. So what I did over the summer is I just made PDFs of as much as I could of the Torah readings, the Haftorah readings. I do need to go back and do the Megillot, because I haven't done that. Actually, make a note. And worked with Kathy and Bonnie to help make that accessible to everyone. And when we met in November, I showed you sort of a little preview of what was coming, and everyone was like, oh. So so tonight is so we'll get to play around with Trope Trainer. Few things that I want to cover, and if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. So you know me, I'm a bugaboo about translation. So we'll talk about how the way I saved these files, all the Torah readings, I saved them with the translation. The Haftarot, I have some with and some without. I think I'll keep them both. The Haftarot, it's nice to have the translation, but when I'm working with students, that's a lot to print out. So we generally, and they have it in their book. So, but I'll go back and save some, make sure that all the Haftarot have the translation as well as without translation, just for ease of printing. So yeah, so the question is, and this microphone may or may not pick up audience members here, so I'll repeat. So the question is, if I went ahead and saved all the Haftarot, because we typically, if there's more than one option, we do the shorter one here. I think I saved them all, but I would love for anybody who is interested to double check. And if there's anything missing, let me know, and I'll make sure we go back and get those. So first thing I want to look at is translation, because I want to make sure that everyone sees that translation and knows how to use it to their benefit. We'll see how each trope is color coded, so it helps you know when to take a breath, when to take that pause. And those who have worked with me know that I'm a bugaboo about that as well. It'll show us when to pronounce the shava vowel and when it's silent. So when you have the little versus a stop, like shema, Yisrael. So sh, we have that little Yisrael. We don't say Yisrael, right? So it'll show us that and show us how to understand when we say that little sound. And then the other thing that has been really challenging for all of us is when that kamatz, that's the vowel that looks like a capital T, when it's an ah versus an o. Most of the time it's an ah, sometimes it's an o, and a lot of sources don't have that in there, and the Trope Trainer has it in there really nicely. And then there's a couple other little things we may talk about, just depending on time, and we'll make sure we have time for questions. So I'm recording, yes. Okay, good. Share, we are here. All right, so after tonight, we will share, hang on, I don't think that's where I wanted to be. Nope, I wanted to be here. Hang on, let me stop. Because if I switch things, it won't do that. Okay, share, that's where I want to be. Okay. Can you all, and then I lose you all. Hang on. Did I lose Zoom again? No, okay, good. Come back, sorry. It should be. Let me just make sure that's sharing. There we go. Okay. Now hopefully everyone can see it. Yes, you can see my screen. Okay, good. So this is what you'll see when you get the link. And Kathy has created a link. We're hoping that it will work for everyone. And if not, we'll play around with it and make sure that it is accessible. So this is what you'll see. So the full readings, I went ahead and did a PDF of the full readings. You know, we do the triennial, just like a third of it. And we'll talk about the calendar a little bit. But sometimes because the way Shabbat falls or the way the holidays fall, the readings aren't necessarily so straightforward. So I went ahead and saved all the full readings just so that we have those. The Haftarot, we talked about those, so I have all of the Haftarot. And then I broke them down by triennials. Yeah, and then some of the tutorials, I don't even remember what I put in there. I think some of the blessings. So what I wanted to do is just go ahead and pull up Triennial Year 3. We'll take a look at a couple things, and you'll see how it shows up. Yeah. So when you click on that, there we go. You'll have Triennial Year 3. I don't know why that says 1 there. So yeah, so okay. I don't know why some of them are a little odd, but that's okay. So what you'll see is that we have all of the parshiot in alphabetical order, mostly because that's the way I could save them as PDFs. And we're going to talk later about the calendar order of the parshiot, but these are in alphabetical order. So it's kind of nice because you can really double and triple check that you're pulling up the correct portion. So notice that, for example, Bahar plus Bahukotai, and then it says 3. So the 3 is the third triennial. Not every year are they combined. So some years they're separate. So what I did is I pulled it off of Trope Trainer from the last 3 years. So last year, or whenever we read Bahar Bahukotai last, it was combined. But next year they may be separate. So if that's the case, then you can pull it up in the full reading. You'll be able to find your reading. So we have them all alphabetical order. The main thing I wanted to look at just on this page is, if you notice at the end, I think there's 11 or 12 of the vas or the v's. So we have va'era and we have vayera. So when you're looking for your portion, make sure that you have the name correct. And I really thought, kind of by having them all together, that'll remind you to double check that I've got the right portion, because some of the names are very similar. We have Vayehi and we have Vayelech, Vayeshev, Vayetze. So a lot of these are very similar sounding. So this way, hopefully it'll be a reminder to double and triple check that you have the correct portion. So I'm going to look at Bo. I pulled this one up in particular. So this is what they'll look like, and I can make this bigger so that everyone can see. So this is what it'll look like. And let me move you guys out of the way. And if we go over here a little bit, we'll see a few features. So first of all, it has the name of the portion or the parsha, Shabbat Triennial Year 3. So that's a nice indicator of which, making sure that you're close to having the correct reading. It'll have the book. So this is from Exodus chapter 12 and then verse 29. The first reading doesn't say anything. It doesn't say first. So if you have the first reading, and you'll see here, it doesn't say that you're first or second or third. As Kathy always used to say, if it doesn't indicate whether you're first, second, or third, that means you have to be here on time because you have the first reading. So if I scroll down to the second reading, you can see here, this is Sheni. You have to look sideways to see it, and it doesn't have vowels, but that's the second reading. So that's where the second reading starts. So I didn't, within each portion, I didn't save each individual reading, but they're all together. So you may, if you print them out, you may have to print 2 pages or whatever, but you'll figure it out. So it'll have Sheni or Shlishi or whatever. So you'll see that you have the correct reading. Again, if it doesn't have that, then you have to be here on time. All right, so just to be aware of that. So if we look at this first verse, so we're in, again, chapter 12, verse 29, and it has it over here as well. And if you look just at this first verse, you can see, so a couple things. So we have the word Lord, which is Adonai, most likely, right? There could be some other names. But I can't tell you how many Torah readers I've had that will get to something like this and say, and they're trying to sound it out. So if you can't sound out a word, take a look at the English and see, maybe it's the name of God. We have the name of Egypt. We know that'll be Mitzrayim. We have Pharaoh, so it'll be Paro or Pharaoh. So there are words that place names, name names. So when we get to some of those who begat who, and you're struggling over how to pronounce a name, it's kind of nice. You can have a little cheat and look over here. But look at what I've underlined here. Firstborn, 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 firstborn. So 4 times in this one verse, we have the word for firstborn. We may not know what that is, but looking at this fairly quickly, some of you may be able to figure it out. Which word repeats 4 times? Let me bring this over a little bit. Do you find it? Yeah, Bechor.
Bechor, yeah.
Bechor.
Yeah, so it's there, 2, 3. There's one more in here somewhere.
Right, you were right there.
Yep, Bechor. So we have it 4 times. Sometimes, one time it has a prefix. Notice that each one has a different trope. That's always one of the interesting and challenging things about Torah reading, which is fine. But notice that we have this word Bechor 4 times. You may not have been familiar with it a minute ago, but now you are. And you don't have to sound out that word every time. You don't have to learn how to read it again. It's the same word. So translation is just super, super helpful. I'm going to come back to the highlighted words in a minute. Those are specific things that I wanted to look at, but I want to find just an unhighlighted verse to show you what I was talking about, the color coding of the tropes. And this is the way that I have saved all of the portions, with the Hebrew on the right, the English on the left, and I saved them all in color. So that was the other thing, the new trope trainer, unless they've made a new option that I'm not familiar with, the translation is at the bottom. So you have this much Hebrew, and then down here you have the English. I really like having it side by side. It just makes it easier to find all these things. But let's take a look at the coloring. So I'm going to start just looking at verse 32 here. And I did, when you highlight it, you start to lose the color. So I wanted to just look at a section that isn't highlighted. So verse 32, so we see here, we have a kadma. And can you tell at home what color that is? Yeah, okay, good. So that's green. And then we have the tavir. And what color is that? Orangey. Good. And the yetnachta is red. Sof pasuk is red. And this little meteg or accent is red. So you can think of them like traffic lights. So the green means you keep going. You have a green light, you keep going. We don't take a pause after a green trope. It connects to the next word. So green means keep going. So we have keep going, and then we get to this orangey one, or yellow. You can think of it as a yellow light. So this is how I always describe it to the kids. So you're driving along, you're getting close to a traffic light and it turns yellow. So if you're super close to it, you can go through the yellow light. It's okay. You're not supposed to speed up to go through a yellow light, but you can go through it. If you're further back from the light, you need to slow down, right? So that you're ready to stop. So this yellow light is kind of like that, or this yellow trope. You can take a pause, you can take a breath there if you need to, but you don't have to. So it is the end of a phrase, it's the end of a trope group, so you can take a little breath there, take a little pause, but you don't have to. The ones that are red are like that red traffic light, and you really do want to take a little pause there. It's a great place to take a breath. Because we have these strong pauses. The et nachta is a super strong pause, and the sof pasuk is the end of the verse, also a very strong pause. So those colors hopefully will be very helpful for you. So questions about that or anything so far? We're good? Okay, good. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my highlights. So I highlighted this first one. I think I'm trying to remember why I highlighted it. I'm going to take my highlights off as we go through so you can see the color of the tropes. I know why. So we talked again, this was back in November. I think most of you were there. This line, this vertical line is a pause, and it's a definite pause, take a breath. And that's that vertical line. It's called a pasik. You don't have to know that. But in this case, we have the munach legarmeh. So we have the munach with that line followed by munach legarmeh. So this is a pause. The idea is that we don't want to run these two words together. So we definitely take a pause there. You may have this line or this pasik without the revi'i, in which case it's just a pause. And we'll see if we find any others as we go through. So I want to point out that one. All right, let me erase as I go. And then we get rid of all this purple. So we're going to take a look at this next phrase and get rid of the lines, a little distracting for me anyway. So if we look here at Vadonai, so this is, what trope? It's a quiz. What's that? Do you remember the trope name? Yeah. Oh, I can make it bigger. Zarka, yep. So munach zarka. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Is that better? Okay, good. So yeah, there's the zarka, and I don't really need the English at the moment. So let me just pull it over this way. So we have the zarka, and sometimes the zarka repeats. This is one of those that we call post-positive, where it always comes at the end of the word. So you can see here, it's at the end of the word, vadonai. It's here at the end of the word, chol b'chor. And then look at the pashta. Pashta is also at the end of the word, right? It falls off the word is how I usually describe it. So it's post-positive, post meaning after, positive meaning always. So what happens if the accent isn't on that last syllable? Then we'll have what we see here with the sagol. So the sagol is also post-positive. It's always after the word. If the accent is earlier in the word, then they will give us a second one. So the one that's gray is telling us it's a reminder of what the trope is. The one that's in the red or orange or green shows us where the accent is. This is Mitzrayim. We know that that's where the accent is here, but it's nice to have that little reminder. So very often in the Zarka and Sagol, the accent will be not at the end. So just kind of watch out for that. All right, and then the next one I have highlighted is, remember this one? Not the word, but the yativ. Yep, we were doing that last night in class. So this little triangle different texts will show it different ways. So in Trope Trainer, this is the way the yativ is. It's a tiny little triangle and it's closed, compared to the mapach, which is up here, which is that less than sign. So a couple of things to notice. So in some texts, you'll see that the yativ looks identical to the mapach. We'll talk about how to tell which one is which. In some of them, the one we were looking at last night, they make it just like super narrow or a little bit smaller. So like this might be the mapach. That's an exaggeration, but you get the idea. That's the mapach and that's the yativ. They make it smaller. Trope Trainer makes it a closed triangle, some way of distinguishing it. But two other ways to know which one is which. So the mapach is green. It's a continuing mapach, pashta, right? We keep going. We don't take a breath after the mapach. The yativ has that yellowy orange. We can take a breath after. It has a little pause. So yativ, zakev katon, yeah. And the third way we can tell is that the yativ is pre-positive. So the zarkas sagol are post-positive, always coming at the end of the word. Yativ is pre-positive, always coming before or at the beginning of the word. So again, positionally, it tells us which trope it is. Makes sense? Yeah, okay, good. So yativ is always before the word. Mapach will be under the accented syllable. The mapach is a continuing, and the yativ is a pause. All right, cool. All right, I'm going to get rid of some of these extraneous things again. Okay, good. All right, let's take a look at this next one that I highlighted here. How would you guys say this? You can unmute if you want.
Hashivi.
Yeah, hashavi. So there's lots of rules about the shava. That's this two-dotted colon-looking vowel. The simplest rule is that at the beginning of a word, the shava is pronounced. So we had bechor, we saw that earlier. At the end of a word, it's a stop. And in the middle of a word, it's a stop. And we'll see one that has both of them in just a second. But then there's some like this one that it's pronounced and we don't really know why. There's other rules. The dagesh inside the shin tells us. But Trope Trainer just helps us along here. So what we see here is that we have bigger dots than we do in a regular shava. So here we have the big dots. And if we look right below it, actually, paro, the little dots, you see that here? So the little dots are a stop. So par-o. We don't say par-o, right? Par-o. So the little dots are a stop. The big dots are pronounced. So again, it's a nice little thing to be aware of. They also have this in our Siddur, but it's much more subtle and more difficult to find those little differences. You have to really know that they're there. But I think it's much more clear in the way Trope Trainer has done it. All right. The diamond, so the Sof Pasuk is diamonds. The Shava, I think, is circles. I think they're circles, yeah. It'd be good to check. All right, cool. And then I have this word here, the first word in verse 30. How would we say that one? We're getting there.
Vayakom.
Vayakom. Yep. Vayakom. So, so this is that pesky kamatz vowel that I was talking about. So that's the one that looks like a T. It usually says ah. And this first one says ah. The second one, you can see them. I picked this word because they're side by side. You can see them. There's a small one and then there's a large one. The small one is the regular ah sound. The large one is o. And kol is the best example of that because kol or hole is always kol or hole. It's not kal if it has this vowel. So it has that bigger kamatz, tells us that it's the o sound. And then the trope is over the yud, so that gives us the accent here, vayakom. And we may or may not remember back from November, the way to know if this is going to be, at least one of the ways, if it's going to be the O sound, it's a closed, unaccented syllable. So the accent is on ya, vayakom. So if the accent was here at the end, it would be vayakam. But if it's unaccented and it's closed with a consonant sound, then it'll be that O sound. There's probably some other rules, but that's one I can remember. And there are certain words that you'll start to get a feel for that, whenever you see it, it's going to have that O sound, like the bechol. All right, cool. Trying to remember why I highlighted this one. All right, so the beginning of verse 31, Vayikra leMoshe ul Aharon. So this is just another example of using the colors to help you. So anybody remember what this one is called?
One of the katones or the gadols. I don't remember what it is.
Yep. So this is the Talisha Katana. Talisha Katana. So notice that it's green. So we keep going. Talisha Katana is always, and there aren't very many always in language, but it's always followed by a kadma. And kadma can be in a couple of different trope groups, but katana will always have the kadma. Katana, kadma. And it's kind of nice because where the katana ends, kadma starts. So the ending note here is the start note here. Notice that it's green, so we keep going. So we don't do Vayikra leMoshe ul Aharon. A lot of people do that because they're kind of struggling with the trope or they don't have enough breath to get through that whole phrase. But that can be one of your goals as well. Usually when you're starting to practice, it may be really challenging, but once you know the Hebrew really well, you can do that all in one breath. Because I know you can do that. So katana or Talisha Katana is a green, continuing, and it always has a kadma after it. And notice the position of this katana. It's also post-positive. So it comes at the end of the word. It's always falling off the end of the word. The gedola is pre-positive, always at the beginning. I don't know if there's one in this portion, but if you spot one, let me know.
Is the Tlisha Gedola green as well, or is that orange?
I think it's orange. Yeah. Yep. So Talisha, and I can't sing it without drawing it. Talisha Gedola. It kind of goes in a circle, like its shape, and it's pre-positive, and the tail of it faces the other direction. So the katana is post-positive, always at the end of the word. It's green, you keep going, and the little tail points towards the front of the word. The gedola is the opposite, it's the beginning of the word, and the tail points in the other direction, and it'll be orange. Yeah. Perfect. All right. So I think I only have one more thing highlighted here, which is the Vayomer. So two things I want to say about Vayomer. Vayomer, the accent is always on the yo. So sometimes you'll have Vayomar, the accent is on the mar, but Vayomer is what you'll see most of the time, and the accent is always on the yo. So this is an example of what happens, and we saw it with the Sagol earlier, if the accent is not at the end of the word. So pashta is another one of those post-positives. So it's always at the end of the word, but sometimes the accent isn't at the end of the word, in which case they'll give us a second one. So Vayomer tells us, so this first one tells us it's the accent, the second one tells us that it's the pashta. So why can't I just have, here, I'm just going to X that out. Yeah, so if I just had that, it would look like a kadma, which has a different function. So a kadma is green. We saw it up here. It's green. It keeps going. The pashta is has a little pause after it. So that's why they can't have just the one here. So they have the one on the end tells us it's a pashta. The one earlier in the word tells us where the accent is. All right, cool. I think those were all the ones I wanted to highlight. Perfect. And if anyone happens to notice a Gedolah, let me know. So questions. We're good? Okay, good. I was going to show you, I want to take a look at the other files that I have. And then for those who are interested, I will show you one other little fun fact that took me 2 years to learn. To find, I shouldn't say to learn. Okay, so I'm going to go back to again where the files are found. So again, we have them in alphabetical order. If I go back, I have my list of readings. I want
Whoops, now Sharon's gone.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to type.
I was like, hmm. At first I thought she just paused to go find something, and then I was like, she hasn't moved. Hmm.
Could be a rogue Talisha Gadol got her.
That's definitely a possibility, Jeff. Hmm. Yay, she's back. You're muted, Sharon.
there we go. Thank you.
Let's see, I see your mouth moving, but we hear nothing.
Yeah. Having internet issues tonight for whatever reason. So let me, before I share it, let me see if I can find it. Let's see, we were going to look here. Yeah, let's see. Trope Trainer Archive. Here. Yeah, no, it's not there. All right, so I'm going to show you my what I have at home instead. So let me share again. Come here. Don't run away. Share. This is me, right? Yes. Okay. So this is what I have on my computer at home. So let's try know year one again. There we go. Now it's populating. So you can see here, same idea. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to go over before we finish this. So Trino year one, so same thing, they're alphabetical order, but notice it has a 1 after it instead of a 3. So that reminds you that it's the correct one. Bahar Bahukotai again is paired. So notice down here, we have a couple interesting things. Can you guys see this okay? Oh, it's big. Okay, good. So we have Kitisa Shabbat Para. We have Rosh Chodesh. We have Shabbat Shekalim. We have Nitzavim Vayelech. That's another paired one. So there's all these kind of modifiers, I guess I would say, for some of the parshiot. So the first ones we'll look at are the ones that are paired. I'm not going to open them, but just so that you get the idea. So we saw, again, Bahar Bahukotai. So that's one of those where it's 2 parshas combined into 1. Again, that won't happen every year. There was another one that we saw down here, Chukat Balak. Nitzavim Vayelech, Tazria Metzora. via Kel Pekude. So some of those are when, if we don't have a leap year, when we have that extra month, we take 2 portions and combine them together and have both of them on that same week. Makes for interesting, just trying to keep track of what the readings are. But then notice these other ones where we have Shabbat Zachor, Shabbat Shekalim. Exactly. So what I will show you, I probably have to stop this share to show you, but I'm going to do that. So let me stop share. I'm going to come back to this. And what I wanted to share with you is this. Okay, and I think I'll send this to you guys because I think this will be really helpful. Let me make it big again for my in-person group. There we go. So this is from the textbook that I use for the Torah Trope class. So much good information in it. This is what in the appendix. So it lists all the parshiot in calendar order. So mine are alphabetical. These are calendar order. So it's just a really nice reference to have. Also at the beginning of Eitz Chaim in the Chumash, it'll have them in that same order. But it's kind of a nice little handy resource. The ones that I've highlighted are the ones that are can be the double portions, but not always. But if I keep scrolling down here, we have these special Shabbats. So the Shabbat before Adar, which will be this one coming up this Saturday, is Shabbat Shekalim. So you can see on the right hand, we have the regular Parsha, but then we have a different maftir. And that's where Bonnie and I go a little nuts, right? Trying to keep track of what the portion is and what the maftir is. We were looking at one. I'm working with a student that will have her bat mitzvah in the middle of Sukkot in the fall, and she's on day 5 of Sukkot. So I was struggling to figure out what her maftir would be because it's different depending on which day of Sukkot it is. So there will be these special things. So I just can't stress enough, whatever you see on TorahReaders.net that Bonnie has assigned you, that's the one that you're going to be reading. So make sure that when you go through these, that's the one you're pulling up. And if you ever have a question, just contact me or her or me first. Yeah. Yes, Hebcal I think is pretty accurate. Is that where you ended up finding that maftir, Bonnie?
Yeah, so Torah Readers pulls from Hebcal.
Okay.
So those will always match. So you could use either one as your source. But like Sharon was saying, if you don't have the same whatever, if that Parsha is not a holiday that particular year and you need to make sure you can verify it against what is in TorahReaders.net.
Yeah. Exactly.
And actually, you should always verify it against that because there are instances where they change slightly from triennial to triennial.
Yeah.
Like a couple verses move off and it's not exactly what we read 3 years ago. So do always just double check that they line up.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. I know I check my reading, I don't know, 75 times to make sure I've got the right. I know it would be not good. But we work around it. And then, so there's these special Shabbats at the top. You can see those high holidays, again, different tropes. Some of you are doing that now. Some of you aren't. If you're not, then you don't have to worry about that. And then the festivals. So I'd mentioned Sukkot. So the first day, first and second day have a certain reading. Shabbat during Sukkot has a special maftir, a special reading. So it just gets a little more confusing. So that's when you have to really be sure that you know which reading you have and to know which Torah scroll you're using, because that's for another day. Hopefully everyone knows how to figure out which Torah scroll they're using. And then some other days that may have different readings as well. All right, cool. So I'm going to try and remember to send that to you guys. Actually, let me just make my note. Send. See. Okay, good. All right, I'm going to stop that share. And then I want to go back to our list of portions. Okay, good. All right, so we're so again, this is Triennial Year 1, but what I wanted to do was to go back to the Haftarot. Let's pull those up and see what those look like. Again, they're in alphabet order. So, oh, we have Blessing, Shabbat, Yom Kippur. I wonder if that was like in the tutorial. Interesting. Okay. Oh, so this is where I put them. Okay, so Eicha is here. Megillat Esther. I did. Yay. I put them in here. That is awesome. So yes, I have Esther, Ruth, Eicha, and then Kohelet should be in here as well. Do I have Kohelet?
Is
I
it
don't.
incorrect to say Megillat Kohelet?
It's a great question.
I'm just wondering if, all the Megillot would be like right next to each other
Yeah.
alphabetically, if that might be helpful. But if that's not correct, if you don't say that, then forget it.
Good question. Yeah, I don't know. For Sukkot. Oh, Sukkot Kohelet. Okay, so yeah, I just need to rename that Sukkot Kohelet. So yeah, so all of those are in here. And let's see if I so Kohelet is lovely, and we'll be able to take a look at it. Go. Can you see at home? Can you see Kohelet? Did that show up? No, I didn't think so because it's on a different program. I have to go back and forth. Okay, I'll come back to that in a second.
You can just share your screen and then it'll share whatever you're looking at.
So I'm sharing. How do I do that?
Or share desktop. Sorry, that's what I meant to.
Oh, and how do I do that? Where it says more?
Click share, and that should be one of the options is desktop.
This one? No. Dimple. Oh, gotcha. Oh, I see. The little arrow. Yeah. Okay. That's all right. I don't have a whole lot more to cover, so hopefully that'll be okay. So these are the Haftarot. We'll take a look at the Eicha in a second, but they're all here. And the question was whether I have the short and the long ones. I think I do. So Shemot Ashkenazim and Shemot Sephardim. So I think I'll save them all. Again, what our tradition is we do the whichever one is shorter. Typically, unless Heather happens to be reading, and then we might do the longer one. Yeah, no, nothing at all. Okay, cool. And then let me go back once more, make sure that I want to show you everything that we've got. Oh, the full readings. So let me just open those. Again, same thing, but there's no number. I don't have the triennial number. I'm going to open one up that we can look at in just a second. And you'll see again how you'll be able to find things. So let me just do that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to stop share and then reshare. Oh, I see some things in the chat. This would be a good time to look at those. I want to do this one and share.
I think we were just chatting amongst ourselves.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so this is the full reading, the full Kriya, so not triennial. And you'll see pretty soon why we do the triennial. So this is both the same one that we were looking at earlier that I had highlighted. So the first reading is chapter 10, verse 1. And there's the second reading. So you can see why we do the triennial. But if you have one of those weird readings, again, that didn't align with the year that I happened to save the PDF from, this is where you can go to be able to find the exact chapter and verse that you need. So hopefully all of that's in there. Right. Oh, that's true. So it may not say exactly. So you may have verse 10 through 14. And so it won't have, that you're the second reading or whatever. But I think you can, as long as you have your chapters and verse numbers, I think you'll be able to do it. All right, and then I was going to take a look at, so this was Kohelet. So this is it's like the Megillah Esther that is coming up. And so for this, at least I saved the translation. Again, I don't know if I did translation for all of them, but I'll check. So if you, when you're ready to learn a new trope melody, if you haven't learned it, this is a beautiful one. All right, cool. Any questions? We're good? Okay, so for any of the geeks in the room, all right, I had one more thing on Parshat Bo, and it was in my reading. Oh, I'll go ahead and pull this while I have this here. This is my reading coming up. So you can see this word here. Yes? Yeah, so May Ramses. So this one, I just highlighted this because it's the small Shava and the big Shava next to each other. Again, just to make it a little bit easier so you know what you're looking for. So again, the small one is a stop and the large one is the pronounced. May Ramses. Yeah, okay, good. But then we have this word here. So for those of you who were with us, I think it was 2 years ago. Is that right, Bonnie, that we did the first like Torah readers?
Oh yeah.
Yes. And it
Or
ended up
two and
being,
a half now, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a while
Wow.
ago. And it ended up being an hour and a half. It was very long, but I just kept going because we recorded it and it's available on the website as well. But there's this odd little thing at the end where we have the hay has a dot in it, and that dot is called a mapik. And if you have a dot in the hay at the end of a word, then you pronounce it, but barely. It's like like you're sighing. It's really difficult to do. Rabbi Jenny would love it if we do it, but it's challenging. So if you can't, don't feel bad. It's just challenging. So I'm going to tell you. Yeah, I'm going to show you that in a second. So if we look at this word up here, mikneh. So the mikneh has a hay at the end without the dot in it. It's just regular. You don't hear the hay, right? It's just mikneh. If I put a dot in it, it would be mikneh. Mikneh. But this one is a special case because we have the patach under it, which is that straight line vowel, and it makes it say ah. So instead of saying ha at the end, it says ah. Like we have ruach, right? Tapuach, luach. So whenever we have that ach ending with the chet, the vowel comes first and the accent moves. Same idea with the hay and also with the ayin. I don't know if I've ever seen it with an ayin. It's called a patach genuva. Again, this is just for the geeks in here. If you don't want to know it, you don't have to know it. I don't know what, so the ayin, theoretically has that guttural sound, but it would be like that, but it would, yeah, so the ayin or the would come first, right? Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I always kind of choke when I try and do an ayin sound. There's some people that can do it. If you listen to like Yemenite music or Sephardic music, you'll hear it pretty clearly. It's really cool.
But so Sharon, so I mean, I get that the mapik part is hard to say, but it would be incorrect to say lehit my me ha. It would
Correct.
without the mapik, you would still need to say lehit ma me ah.
Without the dot, it would be ha. Without the dot, it would be ha.
Oh,
With
so only with the dot it turns it into like a chet?
Yeah. Yep. And that's why,
Oh.
I remember it clear. It's probably, I think that recording is still there. Rabbi Steve and I had quite a discussion about it because if it's going to be ha, you don't need to have the mapik in there. There's no reason for having that dot in there. So the dot has to be there for some reason. So it's there to tell us that hay is pronounced, but it's not ha. We wouldn't need the mapik to say ha, right? So it's that ah. So again, it's not very often. It's taken me a couple years to actually find one in one of my readings. But what I found was in our, I'll make this bigger. In our Machzor, I finally found an explanation of it. This is where I first found it. Oops, let me go this way. Sorry. There we go. Yeah. So it's the Patach Genuva, and it's printed prior to a final guttural letter. So again, it's that ach or the ah. So ruach, it's not rucha. Yes, yeah. So if you notice, so in the Siddur, you'll see it this way. It's again very subtle. It's yep. So that patach, that vowel is off to the right just a little bit. It's just offset, just a tad. It's a clue. That's right. And the one place that we see it consistently is in Hallel. So next time you see Hallel, notice Eloah. It's not Eloha, it's Eloah. And that's the one that I usually see. And again, it took me 2 years, 2+ years to actually have one in my Torah reading where I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this thing out. So there it is.
There is
Patach.
Hallel this weekend.
Oh, yay. Yep. So it's going to be a long service on Saturday, right? Yeah. And a very crowded service.
Yes.
The Torah will go quickly. If Natan is anything like his siblings, the Torah reading will go very quickly. Yeah. So, and then I found this on Wikipedia, I believe. So again, just another explanation for those who want to dive deeper. I'll send that too if you want. So also about the Patach Genuva. It's just kind of a fun one. Yeah.